Welcome back to World Drum Club, everyone. I'm Kalani Doss, and we're going to learn how to play ride cymbal in this lesson. We're also going to look at a few different types of ride cymbals to give you an idea of what you might want to look into in the future. But the main thing is how to play ride cymbal. We know the ride cymbal from the drum set, but you can play ride in any situation. I've actually recorded ride cymbal with percussion and used it on some of my albums. Even two ride cymbals is a really cool sound. So the first thing is, let's learn the parts of the ride cymbal. And this is a typical ride, maybe a little on the smaller side. This is a 20-inch, and this is a Paiste. It's called full ride 20, kind of average ride in terms of size and weight. A few main features on the ride cymbal you want to identify are the bell, that's up here. It's an embossed area in the middle. And then we have what we call the bow, which is the center part here, and then the edge. Pretty basic for any kind of cymbal, basic identifying parts. I'm playing this with an American Jazz. This is a Vic Firth AJ3 American Jazz stick, so it's kind of a smaller stick. I chose that just to bring out more of the lighter side of the cymbals, and so they wouldn't be clunky. The bigger stick you use, maybe of course it could be louder, but you'll also probably get more stick sound. It could be a little darker sounding, a little more chunky. But this is I'd say medium light kind of drumstick I'm using here. All right, then we've got it on a cymbal stand, and of course when you put a ride on a stand, you want to make sure you have felts on there, top and bottom, and then this is the wing nut, the tightening nut. There's all sorts of options available for that. Let's look at what you want to do to play the ride cymbal. The main area that we're going to play it is on the bow of the cymbal, this center part, and right in the middle between the bell and the edge is kind of the more dry spot. And of course I'm playing it with the tip of the stick primarily. We're going to play it like that, and it's going to sound like this. And then now I'm going to play there. I'm going to move down to the edge a little and up to the bell so you can hear what that sounds like. So when I move up to the bell area, just before we get onto the bell, it tends to dry up, get a little more pingy. That's one of the terms we use to describe a ride cymbal sound is ping. And then and that's the kind of definition of the attack. And then down towards the edge of the cymbal, we experience what we generally refer to as a wash or washy sound. We get more of the cymbal ringing over time, which is generally not desirable, but it depends on who you are. If you're Keith Moon, anything goes. So there's a different range. You can get more washy or more, you could use the term wet, I guess, if you're going to use the term dry up here. Drier, middle, and kind of washy down here. When we play the bell, we get more of a ring of a bell sound, and that's the most distinctive sound on the cymbal besides playing on the bow part. That's with the tip, and then we usually play the bell with what's called the shoulder of the stick, or this area here. All right, so now I'm going to mix up a little bit. Let's hear what this particular cymbal sounds like, and then we're going to compare a few other cymbals to it. All right, there's some other tricks you can do with cymbals, like hang a little chain over it to get some buzzing, but we're going to move on right now, and I'm going to show you a couple other kind of interesting types of cymbals coming right up. Who stole the bell off of my cymbal? All right, so this is one of my favorite types of cymbals as a percussionist, and I've used these a lot in my recordings. This is called a flat ride, and it's basically the same type of cymbal as we just had up here. This is also a 20-inch by Paiste, medium weight, but no bell, completely flat. And it gives us a drier sound. I happen to really like this sound. It gives you more definition. Of course, there's no bell available, so if you want a bell sound, you have to look somewhere else. But this is an awesome type of cymbal, flat ride. You hear this a lot. Pat Metheny recordings, other certain artists, I think, well, you have to look it up. I don't know all the artists that use flat rides, but search for flat rides if you're interested. I'm going to play it a little bit more, and then we'll move on and I'll show you a different one. All these cymbals sound a little bit different, especially by themselves, but when you get these in a mix, they all add a different quality. This is one of my favorite cymbals. This is an old Paiste, and you notice there's no writing on it. It says flat ride medium, but this is actually, the name's embossed, and this is a Formula 802. I'm not even sure they make these anymore. They might, I don't know. It's an awesome cymbal. This is an old cymbal. It's probably more than 30 years old. Again, I've used it in conjunction with the other flat ride, which was a signature model. That's the ones I just showed you. What the first two were signature line. This is an old 802, and listen to how dry it is. It works really well mixed in. It's not, you know, it doesn't build up a lot. It doesn't have a lot of that kind of wash that I talked about earlier. So it's a great cymbal if you want to just have ping, a little bit of sizzle, you know, and kind of stay under the music, not get in the way, not cover things up too much. Okay, got one more cymbal to look at. All right, this is a 22, so it's 2 inches bigger than the other three cymbals that we've been looking at. This is the traditional series light, dry, ride, and it could be dry, light, ride, but does it matter? I think this is a great cymbal, again, on the drier side and lighter side. Great for jazz, you know, but great for anything. I hate to categorize cymbals by music genre because that kind of doesn't make any sense, but let me just say this type of cymbal might be preferred by jazz drummers. It tends to be shorter decay, not as much wash or overtones. You know, a lot of stick sound, especially today, that's more preferable. Some people are playing super dry cymbals. One of the things that makes a cymbal drier or less ringy is the less grooves you have in it, the flatter the cymbal is, the drier the cymbal is generally going to be. The more the flatter or smoother the overall surface is, and the more grooves, the higher you're gonna get. You're gonna get more transients and more of that sizzle. Also, this cymbal is hand hammered, so the rougher the finish is, the rougher the hammering, you know, more uneven. Also, usually the drier the cymbal is, and sometimes what we call darker. I know we use all these tactile and visual words to describe music. Maybe someday we'll get our own words. But for now, we're going to borrow words from kinesthetic and visual, sometimes auditory words. I'm going to play this a little bit more, and I want to thank you for tuning in and learning about ride cymbals. This is World Drum Club. I'm Kalani. Thanks for joining us.